Hello and welcome to another Team HSG collaboration video. As some of you will know, of course, certain members of the Patreon team for the channel make these collaboration style videos where they pick out something from maybe Gran Turismo's history that they're passionate about, a car that we haven't talked about, such as on this occasion a retro review as well, once again from NES. For those who are curious about this, you can find these kind of perks over on the HSG Patreon page. So if there is something you're interested in or checking out the other perks as well, of course you can find the link to that right below in the description. But for now, over to Ness.
I am fully aware that there are a whole lot of people who's joining the HSG Automotive channel currently because Gran Turismo 7 is hot on its heels right now. So I'm sure those of you are rather confused at this particular video. Well, just to cut to the chase, hello, I'm Ness in Pajamas. You might have seen me in the comment section here and there, but I'm one of the most prolific content creators on the Patreon crew. My earliest uploads here covered reviewing cars from Gran Turismo 1, more particularly, those that never made a return since. I covered 4 cars, but in reality there's only 3 unique that didn't carry over to Gran Turismo 2. This car, the Nissan S14 Silvia LM Edition, being one of them. This was to coincide with other classic Gran Turismo car reviews HSG himself was doing back in the day, mainly GT2 and 6, which had by far the most content potential. I stopped at 4 since I wanted someone else to finish with their Patreon review series, but it has been far too long. Might as well get it over with. So why on earth would I tackle a game like this? Especially since it has some of the fewest cut cars out of any Gran Turismo game. What's more, 2 of those unique cars I reviewed aren't worth even going back to GT1 just because they weren't featured since. The Honda NSX GT2 LM is very twitchy and super hard to control, as cool as it is. And the Toyota Chaser LM is so slow compared to every other race car in the game. The reason I want to do so is simple. Gran Turismo 1 is one of my favorite games in the series, and I wanted the game to receive justice for the channel since at the time, every other game in the franchise got at least one car review as well. Thing is though, what makes Gran Turismo 1 so special to me isn't the same as what makes games like Gran Turismo 2 and 4 worth replaying for most. Those games have dozens upon dozens of very special and intriguing cars very few racing games ever managed to include. For this game, however, it's more so the satisfaction of mastering the majority of vehicles no other racing games can match. There are loads more reasons than that, but the point is, the cars that didn't make the cut onward are a small part of the enjoyment for me, and spoiler alert, it includes this race car as well. So let's talk about it. Nissan Silvia. I don't know if I'm misinformed as an Ontarian, but the S14 generation seems to be the least popular generation online, at least in road form. Kinda mimics the R33 Skyline in this regard. That said, I'm a recent fan of this generation. I kinda like that there are 2 different body styles of this generation, unlike the S13 and S15. I tend to associate the older one with the Nismo 270R, and the updated version with this LM edition. Now to get some of the basics out of the way, this is the least powerful race car in the game at 536 horsepower, only 5 less than the next nearest one though. In Gran Turismo 1, however, weight matters a lot more than power, and being a small rear-wheel drive sports car as a base, the S14 LM delivers with an impressive 959 kilograms, making the horsepower per ton a pretty decent 559. Its acceleration is middle of the road compared to its contemporaries. 0 to 60 takes 3.2, 0 to 400 meters takes 10.2, and to 1000 takes 18 flat. Nothing mind-blowing. As for handling, it's good. I find the Silvia in general more satisfying as a track or race car than drifting. I tend to prefer sedans like the Crown Athlete for those hobbies. This car isn't as sharp as your Del Sol LMs or Impreza Rally editions, and I would say sharp turning cars are the best race cars in the game. But its short size and low weight makes it beginner friendly and a great choice for most events. Or at least, that's what its main ability would suggest. This brings me to my biggest conflict with the S14LM, its means of obtaining it. To unlock the Sylvia race car, you need to win the Special Stage 11 All-Night 1 Endurance event. 30 laps of some of the fastest racing on the hardest circuit in the game. In any other Gran Turismo game, this wouldn't be a big deal, as endurance racing has become a big staple and there are tons of prize cards to get for each game. But Gran Turismo 1 only has 3 endurance races in the entire game, and the other 2 I would say have far more satisfying and special prize cards for collectors. The Grand Valley 300 km has the black version of the iconic Castrol Supra, which looks awesome, almost like a precursor to the stealth models of later games. The other one has the GTR LM Nismo road car, this thing, that you can see as the first car in the opening movie. It's an amazing feeling once you finally obtain that vehicle. By comparison, a racing version of a car not well known for racing seems, well, there's no other way to put it, underwhelming. I mean, if this was secretly the best car in a game, which is a possibility, then it would make more sense. But guess what? The Dodge Concept Car LM exists, which has 560 horsepower, sure, but it has lower weight than a modern F1 car. This isn't a bad car. It's easily the best of all the unique cut cars in the game. But once again, they're far from the main appeal of Gran Turismo 1. As it stands, unless you're a collector, I would say this is only worth getting and using if you are a massive fan of the S14 Sylvia to begin with, and you really want to get this car as early as possible. If not, you're best buying any one of the road cars like the Mitsubishi GTO or Dodge Viper and upgrading those to beat this rather small career. It sucks because I really like this car, and like I said, Sylvias make great canvases for racing. Just take a look at the S15 touring car from Gran Turismo 7. One can gather, a fan favorite newcomer to the Group 4 class, alongside the Suzuki Swift and Alpha 155. It's hard to review solid cars like this on their own because there's really not much to say beyond they're good cars, which is why I spend the vast majority of this review on tangents. So to make up for this, the next set of Patreon videos I'm going to make are retrospectives of certain vehicles that, while they did get carried over to the other GT games, more so wanting to explain what makes them so memorable in older games, not just Gran Turismo 1 by the way. In the meantime, that's all folks. This is Nets Pajamas saying, fluffy pillows.